It is funny how if we go here, he's his dad is basically saying it's you had that bad dream because you ate a raisin cake, and here you were eating peanuts again, and here was a huckleberry pie at bedtime, and yeah, it's always a different food, and it's kind of funny to see the new food that week.
The next time your mother lets you eat raw onions and ice cream at bedtime, all well is in.
Or when I catch you eating peanuts again before bed, remember?
There's that boy again. I wish you wouldn't let him eat turkey dressing at bedtime. What? Of
Or
course,
it's totally migrated to well, if you want to go to Sunday school, you better get ready. Or if you want to go to church today, you
Yeah.
better get ready.
Yeah,
Hurry
he
up.
eventually loses that
Yeah,
element.
it occurs to
yeah.
me too that all the references to food, this is in a time when your refrigerator is just an insulated box with a gigantic bunch of blocks of ice in them,
Yeah,
right? So
hadn't
like
thought of that.
the trichinosis or whatever potential is a lot higher, and it maybe it is something that was just going around is like, yeah, you eat food too far from when you made it, you never know what's going to happen.
To speak on the subject of like what it was like at that time, like if I want to draw an underwater scene, maybe I'll go and look at my favorite artists. I'll like go grab a whole bunch of books by my favorite artist and like see how are they drawing it. There wasn't a lot of that available at that time. Sometimes it's just like you got to figure out how you want to draw your underwater scene. And have you guys ever seen an underwater scene depicted this way?
No, it looks like a almost like an old CRT television where you can see the lines of resolution, but it
You know,
it still
I
works
gotta,
somehow.
Yeah, it really does work. It's like your vision would be that obscured. And as it gets deeper and deeper, it does get darker, like more blacks are being pulled out. So it's very effective. I looked up like when was the first underwater photograph taken? Was there ever an underwater photograph taken? And there was like 50 years prior to this. And maybe, maybe there was a couple more after that, but not much. And would he have had it available as reference? Probably not. It's also noteworthy that like all of this stuff works in the inks. Like the color is kind of secondary to that, but like the underwater effect is inked in there, so the color wouldn't have been necessary.
I'm following along with you in my own book, and like with the like the lobster, just seeing the lines of the lobster, and through Nemo, that you can see this disarray of you're in water, but like there's just a certain motion that's happening all the time in the water, no
Yeah.
matter you know.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
movement of the fish and Nemo moving kind of tumbling downwards or yeah, just the way he's
exactly.
moving. It
Yeah,
he hmm. I don't even know
He's
how
so
to say it.
He's so good at portraying a static image of movement in all of these animals. Like look at this monkey jumping around. Like that's a very believable, like frozen image of a monkey in movement.
I love the two panels there with the monkey where you see it's the bridge and then it starts collapsing on itself
yes.
just
Yeah,
because they
yeah.
all start losing coherency. It's a great bam bam.
He understands the physics of like a movement, like an animator would, which I should stress that like comic artists should understand movement just as much as an animator because you need to understand the physics of how things move. And like yeah, I mean this is so creative and so fun to have like these figures holding the bridge and just to like screw with him or kidnap him or whatever, they're like moving the bridge pieces around. And then like she turns him into a monkey. Like there's some sort of competition. Like these people want to steal him to get credit for bringing Nemo to the king, but she wants credit for it. So she's like, "Oh, I'll turn you into a monkey." Just like yeah, just so creative. And then you get like these surreal like look at these big-headed people in like a dress. Like this is like nightmare fuel.
Yeah.
there
We
is
don't
a
have.
jarring difference in the colors between your print and mine. I don't
Oh
know if you
yeah.
can tell, but mine are a lot richer.
Ooh, they are.
Oh.
I mean, it might be the lighting. Like I think I made a mistake with the lighting and the.
I don't know. They look.
Hey Eric, do you guys? Well, do you got either of you guys see Jeff Darrow influence coming up in this bubbling up?
Well, there is the like Jeff Darrow likes to draw full figures, so there is that aspect to it.
As soon as I saw that turkey, I was like, "Oh, Jeff Darrow."
I mean, I love the rendering on the turkey. The rendering is just amazing.
Do you think it looked that way when it was first printed in newspaper?
Yeah,
That's
I mean,
a good
it's
question.
hard to say because,
Because
like,
it's
you
really, they spared no
Uh-huh.
expense with this, but
Yeah.
who's to say this is what it looked like when it was first printed?
But
Yeah, I mean, you would have to like how would you? What would be your point of comparison? Like, I guess you would have like some sort of scientific knowledge on like.
Actually, this would be my point of comparison.
know, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
the thing is that it's the only, outside of a museum, I guess, it's the only color entertainment anybody is going to be getting, right? Movies are black and white, radio is sound. There's almost nothing that you can be entertained by that is also in color.
Yeah, that's a good
Except
point.
for these. So I would bet that they're really just lavishing. And especially if they're using them for competition, they're just really pouring in the money for this color printing process.
It was owned by Hearst, so
And
Well-
he,
No. This wasn't hers.
I don't know how this wasn't Hearst. Okay, but at some point,
This had superior printing than Hearst. When it goes to the Hearst years, like though they don't reproduce as well because the printer even like 10 years later was still not as good as
interesting.
what they had at this time. At the New York Herald, they had the best printer in New York. Also, I just want to acknowledge that like something cool about these strips is that they always acknowledge the holiday that they come out around. So here we have
Yeah.
a Thanksgiving strip, and then like as we go through, like there's dates at the top, which is fun. And it's just like every Christmas you get the Christmas strips, and like every New Year's you get the New Year. Just like every holiday is acknowledged. So here we have like a Man in the Moon, which are you guys aware of a famous movie around this time featuring a man in the moon?
Oh, yes,
with the rocket ship and whatnot, yeah.
It was a
Which movie?
1902 French sci-fi film, A Trip to the Moon. It was basically a big special effects extravaganza for 1902. And you can see that probably influenced this strip here.
What nightmare fuel this Man in the Moon is. Like,
Oh yeah.
it looks like a plumber has come to eat this child.
And he's like running away.
I
and-
never considered it, dude.
Oh yeah, I mean, like he looks incredibly afraid. But I love how the bed slowly falls apart. Like he understands how this bed is put together.
Yeah, like it's losing its boards. They just kind of tumble out, and then the kid is just like, I love that one on the left-hand bottom side of the central panel of Nemo, just kind of like, no, god damn it, try to
Yeah,
keep it
like-
together. And like, no, how am I going to get back?
Yeah, and it just goes to show like something we talk about is like try to understand the objects that you're illustrating. Like he completely understands this bed and how it goes together.
These Christmas ones. This Christmas one. Man alive.
This one's been like, yeah, look at this. Like,
Yeah, lush. Just so finely detailed, but in a way that isn't distracting, you know?
yeah,
You're
yeah. Like
taking it
like
all
this is
in.
paradise or whatever,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, it's great.
But yeah, I love this shape of Santa Claus, and like look at the reindeer here. Like he's drawing all the reindeer; they're all posed differently. Like there's this kind of like joke that is true in comics that like artists hate drawing horses or whatever. McKay's writing this for himself. He can draw anything he wants, and you see all throughout this, he's always choosing the most difficult, most complicated things to draw, and I mean it's just amazing. So I just wanted to comment quickly, like just the fun imagery of the princess showing up in the mouth of a dragon and it like freaking him out to wake up and then falling down stairs. And that's another thing is just like stairs are not the most ideal thing to draw, but again, he's just drawing anything and everything, and it's all just so creative. So again, yes, look at all the different angles he's drawing these reindeer.
Exactly that, but it's something that so I noticed this about his stuff now, even seeing the stuff he produced before Little Nemo is his storytelling technique is like this side scroll video game quality where it's basically starting from A to B, just going across the page every row. And once, and I mean, he does turn angles here and there, but like a figure or something will still be at a sideways shot where you develop a familiarity with it, where you're able to follow with your eye across again from left to right, left to right, left to right, all the way down the page, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right, and this is a really good example of it where
Yeah.
it starts him in the bed and then him ending in the bed, and he just moves constantly left to right.
Well, even
Yeah.
like, okay, if you could take the second page, the bottom row of the second page, even the two middle panels, that figure moving from the left, turning his entire body to the right, boom, boom, right? Like that's still like this kind of side scroll, moving back and forward kind of mentalities. The page is meant to go from left to right, and he's facing to the left, but he turns to the right, and the page finishes again with Nemo waking up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of that comes down to like when you're drawing motion, you want to follow the eye path. The eye is moving left to right, but also in a zigzag. And so right here, if you want the movement to have more power, you just have the character moving in a leftward direction. Uh, but yeah, I did wanna comment that like going back to that how much work he's putting into this and how much like he's imposing this amount of work on himself. I also yeah, I just wanted to comment that like there's a letter that survived from back then from just before Little Nemo in which he asked for a raise. So he was getting $60 a week and he was asking, "Hey, can I get $75 a week?" Which he was given without any argument, but his explanation was that each week he produced one page of Little Sammy Sneeze, one page of the story of Hungry Henrietta, and usually at least 2 pages of Rarebit Fiend, and like an illustration for that serial novel about the future, as well as like all other random individual illustrations here and there, all in a week's work.
That's insane.
Compared to like what are the famous scripts we know of from like the 30s and 40s? All those were just one artist working over the course of a week. Like Prince Valiant took a week to create all that stuff, and Windsor McCay was doing all of this stuff in one day. And on top of that, like look at how difficult this stuff is. He's not like he's like cutting corners or anything. So yeah, he was just an exceptional artist.
Fully drawn every panel.
I just did a quick Google. $60 in 1905 is the equivalent of $2,152.
Yeah, I think the average like regular worker was making like $9 a week. So he got very wealthy because
And $75 is almost 2,700. Yeah.
when he's
All
Yeah,
those top
so
hats and tuxedos and shit.
by 1908 he was making $175 a week.
Oh, I gotta
wow.
find out.
And then by 1911 Hearst pulls him over to his paper by paying him more. So he was a very wealthy man.
This guy is, and on a weekly basis, yeah, this guy is, okay, now I see what you mean by he actually made money at this, because he's getting money thrown at him.
A side note though, what do you guys think of like what that said about commercial artists back in the day, like how they were treated in terms of how they were compensated before they started not being compensated so much, into the 60s and so on? Like, were they not upper class, but a little bit, better appreciated, like actors and whatnot, in terms of celebrity status?
I do think so, because I remember reading about Jack Kirby and a lot of the guys from the Gold and Silver Age comics. A newspaper strip was the goal. Like that was what they
Yeah.
wanted to land. It was
Yeah.
only really Kirby and Simon who were like, "No, this is the medium that we should be working in." But everybody else was thinking, "Oh boy, if I just got a sweet newspaper gig."
Yeah.
That would be
Like,
great.
Yeah, because like at least you had like some sort of ownership over the syndicated strips, whereas like comic books were like, they were sweatshops.
Yeah.
And and also oftentimes it wasn't stuff that you created. It was just a gig working on somebody else's creation. But yeah.
But yeah, the expectation that the public seem to have for artists as well seem to be a lot higher, right? Like this is immaculately produced.
Yeah.
And I don't think you would have gotten away with the quality of like a Fox Comics from the late 30s, early 40s.
Yeah, and like also this is like the top talent of East
Yeah.
Talent. So yeah, someone like that has been rise to the top. So I guess this strip right here is implying that Nemo was probably born in 1900
I think
because
so, yeah.
he becomes he as he touches a year, he like ages. So when he gets to like the future of 1999, he touches those, he becomes, I guess, 99 years old. But yeah, just a fun idea that in 1905 he was coming up with like what this character would look like as he gets past 1954, then well then 1999, and yeah, just like a lot of fun ideas.
Yeah, the 15 one made me think, oof, oof. That's going to be a grim time for young Nemo.
Yeah, yeah. And this we have like an army of Nemos. So again, just like not making things easy for himself. Just like
It's a real because so I know we've taken Calvin and Hobbes off the table as far as like what's the best, but you can really see the influence that this has on Bill Watterson.
yeah,
It's just the motion, just the gag of what if it's just the same little boy over and over again? I'll bet that's funny. I mean, we'll see more of that as we go, but
yeah. I love how he's like flung into
yeah,
back into bed.
yeah.
And he's just like so good at, again, like drawing a figure in motion, just like flying in the air.
The
Across
contorting
time
of
too, from left to right.
the contorting of that bed when he lands in it, I love the headboard bending. Like
Yeah,
that's not what would happen, but
it's like
it does
rubbery.
need but it does need to happen for that to really be driven home.
He could
Great stuff.
Great.
You guys know that, like, what do you think of the significance of the word Nemo? It means nobody in Latin.
I can't figure that out actually, because there's not really much to the character other than he's a conveyance for this story. But it's not like Nemo really has a lot of desires or goals.
Yeah.
But
Well,
I
I
don't
mean,
know if
his goal is to get to the princess, I guess, or the king.
that's the thing. That's the princess's goal. That's the king's goal. But Nemo just seems to be kind of going, okay, yeah, I mean, I guess let's go.
Yeah, it's a very sort of passive. Like people are coming to him to take him somewhere, I guess. But like
What
as the story goes, he has more forward momentum, I guess.
do you think, Colin?
He gets further and further, obviously, to Slumberland. And as a weekly strip, it takes 6 months for him to actually stop waking up just before he gets a little bit further and a little bit further. He finally actually gets there about strip 26, 27, maybe even 30, I think. I was counting.
Well, yeah, we'll get there,
Yeah, but like, so I mean, just these little sections of the roadmap from wherever point A is to Slumberland itself. It's like there's vast valleys of just different types of animals and plants and all kinds of climate changes and weather and whatnot. You know, it's crazy to see.
Yeah, definitely.
The
He
acting
has
that
a
he
breadth of
gives.
just knowing how to draw, like trees with snow on them, and then
Yeah.
trees with no leaves, and trees with, you know, he has a encyclopedia of like what something is supposed to look like in any stage.
Yeah, look at that
Yeah.
polar bear chasing Nemo in the bottom panel of the left-hand page. Like, that's great.
Yeah, it's just so amazing. And then we get like 100 lions here surrounding him.
All doing different stuff.
Yeah.
There's no
No less than.
repeats. Yeah. It's great
And-
stuff.
Yeah, I love that Cat is influencing the lions or whatever. And yeah, right here it says like a little Leo meowed. So which again, like the text you do not need. And he could have just added a meow in there, and then the text is unnecessary. Which he eventually learns, because I think there's only like a couple more strips before he loses that stuff.
Oh, I did particularly like the acrobatic.
Yes.
Is it uncle? Yeah, acrobatic uncle.
Just like the angles, the foreshortening that this uncle
Yep.
is involved in is just so well done.
Yeah, it's great motion, and I love the last panel before the inevitable wake up, because it's a great, back to what Colin was saying about side scrolling.
Yeah.
The rings have broken, and they are just careening into that panel.
Yeah, you get this continuous motion here, and then they reach land, so it is like them coming forward.
Yeah,
I
and the
do.
look on the uncle's face, just meh.
Yes. I love the composition of this right here. Of the symmetry with the centered cone. It's just yeah, actually all of these introductory images are just so well composed. So here we get a Valentine's Day one, and
Another
look at the freak show.
another thing that Bill Watterson took from this is those top panels. I guess from the way that newspaper strips, when he was making them, especially the Sunday strips, were depending on how much space he had to compose two top panels that could be deleted for space reasons, and he
Yeah.
purposely fought for, no, I get to do whatever I want in that space that I'm allotted. And this is, I'm pretty sure this is the sort of thing that he was referencing as wanting this sort of opening panel.
That was part of the whole thing about Sunday strips, was they always had that opening panel, right?
Well, but by the late 1980s, I guess that was not, space was becoming a premium, or they just didn't want to print as much, and there were some markets that said, yeah, we'll take it if we can get rid of that first opening panel or
Right,
something.
right, that's right. Yeah.
Can we talk about in the second page, the bottom row of panels? You see how he's taking the girl's taking his arm, and then as they start to turn off, it turns out she's a cardboard cutout, or rather, like a wooden plank with
Yeah.
a stand behind her. That's a great passage of time there to him
Yeah.
waking up.
Yeah, and I was I don't want to say I was surprised, but I don't know what other word to use, because you can see
I
it
just like
all.
seeing it. I just like seeing
Yeah, it's just like, oh dang,
when they're
that's
playing
clever.
around.
Wow, way to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love the hair raising moment here.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So yeah, we're already in February, so it started in October. Yeah, again, like I love the composition here. It's almost symmetrical, but not quite. Yeah, a lot of good shape to that clothing.
Yeah. Shape.
And yeah, and look at these freaky looking giants chasing him with their like huge smiles. And this is an interesting reading order, which is very helpful that it's numbered, because yeah, it goes again the staircase type reading, and then it goes here, and then you're supposed to read down here. Like I wouldn't recommend this kind of panel layout for anybody drawing a comic, but he's got it numbered, and he needs these tall panels to show that there are giants. So yeah, he ends up showing up too late, and Slumberland is closed.
Yeah, it just occurs to me too that because it's being produced as a singular unit, so that you see when people are reading it, this is just going to be the singular thing that they're reading for Little Nemo. So I wonder if the need to lead your eye around is lessened in his mind. I don't think it is lessened, but I wonder if he thinks, well, you're not flipping to another page. So
Yeah, I mean, I think like he's very specific about when he needs a tall panel. And I
yeah,
think like that's a lot of the thinking there, is like this is a page with giants. And so in
so you got
order
to
to
get that
show the trusted
size.
relationship here, he definitely needs a tall panel when he introduces them, and then they're chasing him, and then right here he definitely needs a tall panel showing his tree. And that's probably like taking precedence over like I don't know, like a clear reading order, which he's probably less concerned about like hyper clarity because he is numbering every panel.
Yeah.
Could it? I mean, can you draw that he's trying to include all the figures in the scene? So in the case of on the left page with the tree itself is a character, right? And he wants to include the entire body of the character along with the entire body of the other characters involved. So he treats however many characters there are in the scene, he'll envelop that and he'll kind of play around that.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, by this point it's almost 20 strips and 20 strips of him trying to get to the kingdom, and yeah, he finally arrives. And
just as he drops the narration too.
Yes, actually, yeah, between here and here he drops the narration. He's got a bit of narration to introduce here, and then like yeah, from here on it's yeah, he keeps the narration on the first panel I guess for a bit, and then even then after several strips he loses it.
Yeah.
So I just want to comment that this is like probably the second comic to ever have an ongoing narrative, to have cliffhangers, which is such an important part of like the comics medium. I think the first one to do it was like a short-lived, like unpopular strip called like Kinder Kids, but like it's significant that like Nemo is
one of the first to do this very comics thing, which is to have like a serialized aspect and like cliffhangers.
Yeah, because this is where the clown Flips shows up as well with the wake up hat, and
which is so fun. The wake up hat.
Yeah,
always wakes him
up.
up.
That's gonna be an antagonist. Like, yeah, he's gotten to Slumberland, and now he's got an adversary.
Yeah, and it's funny that like for the next several strips, it's just like, oh, prevent Nemo from seeing this hat that says "wake up," and like everybody's job in the kingdom is to prevent Nemo from seeing this "wake up" hat. So yeah, Flip is introduced as you said as an antagonist, but he eventually becomes sort of a mischievous sidekick, like years later.
Yeah,
and his whole thing is that he's related to
the Dawn, like the concept of the Dawn.
Yeah, I think like the family of Dawn is like has some sort of rivalry with like King Morpheus or something, and hey, I want to comment on the design of Flip. Do you guys know much about the history of this design?
I assume it's just a what are those called? Like a hobo clown or something?
It's an Irish stereotype.
Yeah.
In what way?
Well, okay, so around this time there was some ugly ideas about the Irish, and I probably shouldn't get into too much detail, but like I just wanted to briefly mention that like back then society didn't really talk about race so much as nationality, and for some reason the Irish were seen as an inferior nationality, I suppose, not too dissimilar to how people were pretty racist against black people, and so when you would draw an Irish stereotype, it was actually fairly similar to like the minstrel show imagery.
I want to say around this time, there is a saying that's like the Irish are the blacks of Europe. Like they are viewed that way. And Ireland is where England would essentially test out all of its brutal imperialism before shipping it abroad. So there was a centuries of history of just encoding. Yeah, the Irish are trash. Let's treat them as such.
Because it's funny that all goes away. Like by 100 years later, it's like that's factoid. But like for the longest time, that was people just hated on the Irish.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and so in the during the potato famine too, there were huge numbers. So Windsor McCay would have been growing up. I think he was born just a few years after that huge influx, but there would have been a lot of anti-Irish sentiment just because of the potato famine kills or expels half the population of Ireland.
Oh wow, half?
Half. Yeah, they went from 8 million to 4 million.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Well, that's super dark. So let's talk. Here's a nice segue talking about the lightness of this sun.
Yeah, this is a what a well
I-
rendered.
Yeah, look at how Nemo is rendered in black, and then everything here, he pops out because everything here is like rendered in blues, I guess, blue ink, I suppose. Which um
Yeah.
yeah, in modern technology, like which I was talking about several episodes ago, that you get with modern technology with Photoshop, a modern colorist would like put a holding line on top of this, but on the original art, he's using blue ink. But you get that similar effect in modern comics. And I love this how this night scene is rendered. Like again, like the color is not necessary. You can tell with the line work that this is sort of a pre-dawn setting.
Yeah. It's not a continuous tone throughout that pre-dawn panel. It's they've also got some lightning effects going on.
Okay, and then we get some new animals. We get camels now.
Those
So-
stumbling camels, man.
Yeah, yeah, just so impressive. Drawing like it's hard enough drawing this, but I mean, if somebody gave me a script where it's just like 8 camels are flying around and falling to the ground, I would be annoyed. It's just that I
Yeah.
haven't drawn that. But he's writing this for himself. He can do it all. I mean, I guess he really likes drawing animals. He would have to, right?
He's got to at least, at the very least, like the challenge of doing it, right?
Yeah, and I mean, I guess like it was established that he has a photographic memory, so I guess he saw a bunch of photos of a camel, and that's all he needs.
I also really like the background detail of the fudge fountain in the top half of that page. Refresh yourself, say fudge, and a handful will appear. That's exactly what a little boy in 1906 would dream about. Free fudge, great.
Like water fountains on every street corner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so refreshing, this thick, juicy fudge.
And just to go back to this, I like the cleverness of like giving him this hat, and he just looks in the mirror and then wakes up just because he saw the wake up hat.
Yeah, that's good.
And then now we're at an April Fool's Day one.
This is a great example of what you were talking about before with the physics of just the disassembling
Yeah,
costume. Like,
yeah, like this is 3 people.
yeah,
Just very cool.
You see that word balloon of the giant girl standing outside in the middle there? It's
April.
Ryle Fool.
Yeah.
Now, I love the shape of this turn. Like, I love how the knee is somewhere in here. He's just got really stubby knee. It just how these baggy pants are drawn, I just love so much.
It's fantastic.
And I want to copy this a bunch of times because I want to integrate this kind of shape into my work. But like, look at how clever this is of just like, again, like there's no text anymore. So you have to figure out from the visuals, like what is going on. He's blowing on this and nothing's coming out and they're all wondering what's going on. And it keeps on blowing and it's spiraling out. He's like expanding this brass instrument. What is this? A bighorn?
Tuba?
A tuba? Yeah. And yeah, it's just going nuts. And they're all having to escape and run away.
Yeah.
I like. Well, you know what? The constant is the actual horn is just is mounted on his shoulder, and because he's stationary, it's stationary. So it's everything else around him is just blasting out. That's the best thing about the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the
Every
panel
exhale is
expand
just like
with it as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great use of space and yeah, just panel layout.
well, a point of reference for expansion, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, yes.
Anchor image. Ha
Wow, no, that's not an anchor image.
ha!
That's not an anchor image. Windsor McCay did not invent the anchor image. Yeah, again, like I love the shape of this guy right here, and I love the pants and the feet, and just his bulbous nose, and more animals like rabbits,
Yep.
because it's an Easter one.
And the movement of the rabbits. I love that bottom panel on the right page. Just so expansive. Just really gives you the feel of this open space, this big palace.
Yeah, like the architecture of Slumberland is,
Yeah.
which we reached Slumberland here. Now, I think he was heavily influenced by the 1893 Chicago World's Fair.
Yeah, now that you bring that up, this does look very Crystal Palace? Is that
Yeah.
from that?
Well, are you familiar with the Chicago World's Fair?
No, only oh, no. I'll say no.
Yeah, they called it the White City. I guess there had been a Paris World Fair before that, and that's when they unveiled the Eiffel Tower. And so there was this huge competition to outdo the Paris World Fair, and it was basically all the greatest architects of that time were living in Chicago. As I said earlier, they created the first skyscraper, but the architecture of the World's Fair was just spectacular. And this reminds me quite a bit of the few images that have all survived of
Mhm.
it. I read a book several years ago by historian Eric Larson, not the comic artist, but it was called The Devil in the White City, and
Right.
it was a really well done book, like chronicling the building of the World's Fair. Yeah, I should say that the big competition to go up against the Eiffel Tower was for the creation of the Ferris wheel. Like that was this invention where like the guy who proposed it, they basically said that's impossible. You'll never be able to pull that off.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and he did, and then they broke all the records for World's Fair, probably because of that Ferris wheel.
Yeah.
There's also a movie I saw a couple years ago called the Current War, which at the very end of the movie they have a scene at the Chicago World's Fair, and they have that. I think there's a scene with the zoetrope strip and everything. That's an excellent movie with
What's it
like
called?
the current war. It's about like the war between like Westinghouse and Edison over who gets to
Oh.
do the electrical grid for the United States.
Right,
A
right, right.
fantastic cast. Yeah, but I highly recommend it. Yeah, I just like the very end takes place at the Chicago World's Fair, and you get to see a little bit of, and yeah, it looks quite a bit like the architecture that you see in Slumberland.
Oh, wow, yeah. Great cast. Huh.
Yeah, you're looking it up now. Who's I'm bad with names. Who
Benedict Cumberbatch as Thomas Edison, Michael
right, yeah.
Shannon as George Westinghouse, Nicholas Holt as Nikola Tesla.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
those
mean
are the top
it's
3.
okay, so we're almost down here. So yeah, like again, like crowd shots. Like
Yeah.
artists love to draw crowd shots, right? That's a thing that we know about artists, right?
Yeah. Just look at those musicians in the bottom panel of the left-hand side. They're all posed. They're all doing different stuff and
Yeah, just yeah, incredibly complicated and fun.
and yet he also knows when to not put too much in. One of the crowd scenes of giant Nemo on the other page, running through a crowd. If you really look,
Yeah,
there's not much going on with that crowd.
yeah, because he knows where the eye is supposed to go, and the eye goes towards either a detail or if there's not a lot of detail, though a lack of detail. But
Hmm.
like also again with the tall panel to show how big he is,
Yeah.
and like he's running towards. And yeah, again, I love all of these opening panels. Like there's this an almost symmetry to this. I love how like this bald-headed character is like all throughout, and he has to draw from several different angles.
What do you think his process was for photo reference for this? Do you think he composed his own shots and just snapped the picture and kind of light boxed it, or used a glass to do it, or
I mean, he was described as having a photographic memory, so I think just a lot of this comes from memory, but I mean, also he might have used his kid as a reference. But at this time, he was not working from home. He would walk into the office. I think he at this time when he had just moved to New York, he's like a couple blocks away. I think, but then he eventually gets a bigger house outside of town. So, and then by the end of the 1910s, he's looking at home.
Do you think this was some kind of mental competence like Kim Jong-il?
Oh, undoubtedly, he was like a prodigy, like
I
nobody else.
Yeah, do you think he must have also had
You know,
just a huge reference library?
Yes, no doubt. Like all that with those Muybridge books.
Yeah. What were you gonna say?
Eric and I attended Kim Jong-il doing a live drawing session.
I'm
And
so jealous.
there was like 6 or 7 seconds of my life and Eric's too, where we saw him with a pen just kind of do this kind of weird figure 8 thing and drew a shopping bag on the ground next to a woman's foot. But the way he drew the shopping bag, he just literally, it took 6 or 7 seconds just to kind of go like this, and it was done. And as soon as he lifted his pen off the paper, you know, my ex at the time, she was like, huh. As she was watching it, as soon as he lifted his pen off, she goes, huh. Like she knew what it was immediately.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
It's like
there's only one of those a generation.
That's amazing. Yeah.
It was just some
Viewers,
kind of weird, like,
do yourself a
It's
favor
stuff.
and look
Yeah.
up Kim Jong-il drawing videos because it's unbelievable.
yeah.
Blank space,
Yeah.
pen in hand, guy just goes.
Okay, so what do we got here? We got like
Yeah, he's getting to draw ice, and the colors are always interesting. Like, what color do you draw ice?
Yeah, because of the colors, I kept taking this as glass or like, yeah, almost like colored glass more than
Oh, and
anything.
it might be that actually. I mean that might be it. But yeah, again, like there's a lot of like you know,
duplicate characters often, and so you get these like 4 character judging and
yeah, they're just trying to get away from Flit.
Yeah, which I do. I like that there's constant repetition too, because that just something about it just makes it feel more like a dream. Like you're kind of like the human brain being too lazy to come up with different faces for these guardians of the gate. It's just like, it's the same guy each time. He's doing different stuff, but you know what's happening.
The coloring on this page is spectacular with the 3 different colored lights.
Yeah, feels like an 80s movie. Like
Yeah, the neon kind of
yeah,
effect.
like a Michael Mann Sweaty Bayou story or something.
Yeah,
I love when he draws like fallen characters. He's got the feet above their head, and then he's not too dissimilar from that. And now we're in June, and we've got a very slippery floor.
This was a great use of negative space, or not negative space, but a lack of detail, I guess. With the slippery floor, it's just so clean that you can see everybody on, like what everybody's. You can't help but be drawn to the figures.
yeah, and I like how if this were in the early days, he would write some prose about how he slipped on the ground because it's so slippery. But like by this point, he knows to just add dialogue. Like I never could stand or walk on glass floor. And yeah, again, you get that similar effect, that similar little gag here with the feet are higher than
Yeah,
the head as they slip.
I also really like the use of flip coming in on the. I guess that's a firecracker, but using it to trace through the panels because it starts out very small on the right hand page, and the propellant trail, I guess, tracing where are we going? Oh, okay, here we are.
Right. Yeah.
It really it feels like he's trying to find more ways of directing your eye.
Yeah, it actually, yeah, it is a good point.
Because at this time, they're all still trying to figure this out. And I mean, if you're an artistic genius like Windsor McCay, you're probably going to be pushing new things sooner.
Yeah. And here we have like your point earlier about less detailed crowd shots. Like you have the foreground characters and you have a
Mhm.
huge crowd in the background. So obviously they need less detail because you don't want the eyes to linger on them. You want to
Mhm.
focus on the foreground characters. Right here is a huge moment. After this entire journey, he finally meets the princess. But
Yeah.
uh, he's still got several months to go before he meets King Morpheus.
It's also one of the I'm noticing now that on the right-hand page, it's also one of the few times that we cut away from Nemo, because most of the time we are constantly following him. But
Right, yeah.
Flip has cut away on it's cut away to Flip in panels 1 and 3, which is again, I think, trying to find more and new different storytelling methods. Like, oh yeah, you could edit this. You can put an image next to an image and
Yeah, like
trust that the
intercutting.
reader is following.
Because that's another point is like film was brand new and like editing techniques were slowly being discovered around this
Yeah.
time as well.
So now we're in July, and there's the return of this dragon that, way back at the beginning of the story, she was using as her throne, which freaked Nemo out, and now he's got to go sit in this throne with the princess.
What a
But
great idea.
yeah, and look at the this is almost like a screen tone effect with by modern day parlance, but I guess he's just maybe this is just pencil or well, yeah, what do you think? What is this texture?
Stippling? Kind of
No,
like taking a
stippling is too much work. It's just like one dot after the other. This is some sort of like shading.
Oh, I was thinking like an uneven brush that he's just kind of let the
Oh yeah,
texture come
yeah.
out in.
Yeah, that's probably it. Yeah. Which he abandons here. Like I guess he didn't like
Oh yeah.
that's the thing is you try something out and then you see it in print. And then maybe after you see it in print you realize, yeah, no, I'm not doing that again.
Which is yeah, something a lot of creators have to go through. Like maybe you realize your lines are too thick and you want to make them thinner because you
I
suddenly saw
think
them in print.
it could be that he just saw it in print and he pulled back for the next strip because I mean that all that black ink there, it's very like ashy, not ashy, what's the word, almost like a lot
Uh,
of pepper, over peppered.
yeah. No, I think Ashy is right. Yeah, it feels like there's something on the dragon.
It may not have even been him, it may have been some kind of color correction or somewhere in production somebody must have made some decision to lighten up on that.
Yeah. That's a good point. Yeah, he's not an island unto himself. There's a
Yeah.
whole process from once he's handing it in to
Yeah.
it getting printed.
Yeah.
I love this rain effect. I can
Yeah,
definitely see Bill Watterson stole that as well.
Yeah, it's a very nice effect. Like even their lines are very sporadic when rendering them. Because
Which is
you're seeing through the rain to see them.
and it's hard to use pen and ink to convey, a heavy downpour, but when you do it right,
Yeah.
all you need are a bunch of lines, I guess. That makes it sound like it's no big deal. Obviously, I'll bet this took forever, but
Yeah, and actually I want to comment on this. Like the line here creating this fountain, this circular area, if you look up close, it's not perfect. It's
mhm.
and I talk about this a lot, but I really like imperfection. I like how it is accurate. Like as we get closer to the horizon line, the circular elements get more skewed. But it is done freehand and it just looks great. There's absolutely no problem with it not being perfect.
Yeah.
I remember you went through a phase of not using a ruler per se, like you still used a ruler, but when you were inking or doing final pencils on a page, you would just do it just by a single line without a ruler or anything.
Oh yeah, way back when.
You do talk about it a
Yeah.
lot. Your love of Frank
Freehand.
Whiteley, especially.
Yeah, Frank Wiley has a bit of a shaky line,
Yeah.
which creates an organic feeling,
Well,
which
and
I
it's
really like.
I really took notice of Frank quietly doing that when he did a wizard cover with Wolverine with his claws up, and the claws were drawn just freehand, and it was not a perfect line. It was like
Yeah.
actually kind of squiggly going all the way.
Like the
Underdrawing, the underdrawing was like perfect, so that you don't go too far off the reservation. It's just to create a bit of an organic quality to it.
Yeah.
yeah, it's the hand of the artist. That's why you're there, right? If you wanted it to be perfect, that's what photographs are for. But
Exactly.
this walking on water scene, fantastic. Like,
Yeah.
how would you even know how to get that? Right? It's 1906. Everybody has to wear these full woolen bathing costumes if they're going to be out in public by the seaside. How would you even? I can't even begin to think how he conceptualizes what it looks like for two kids to walk on the surface of the water.
Yeah, it's really well done with the shadow that's or the reflection that's giving
Yeah.
out. But I love the downward quality where he's being pulled down, and then we
Yeah,
get
another
to the
expansion of his approach to the page itself, right? Because before there's been downward movement, but it doesn't feel like it's cohesive in its necessarily cohesive in its space, but this does feel like he's getting closer to this being all one shot.
yeah, and he probably was like, I haven't drawn a lobster yet, so I gotta. He's got like a list of animals he hasn't drawn, and he's gotta get to all of them.
On this page that you just turned here, I want to make a quick comment. So I've loved his lettering for the title all throughout, and this is the first time he goes into like a cursive writing style for it.
Yeah.
Before it's completely epic every time he does the lettering. He might deviate from it a little bit, but the feel of the lettering was very epic and bold. But here's the first time he goes in an italicized, cursive font for it.
Yeah, and it's not in the next one.
I don't
So
know if there's any significance to it per se. Maybe that's just how he felt at the time, but obviously he hand lettered every title as he drew it, right?
Yeah.
it does seem to fit more with the mermaids somehow, and I can't explain why, but it
He
does.
does do it. He does do it again, like
Yeah.
4 or 5 strips later. Yeah, he does return to that font, but I think this is the first time he uses that font. So I don't know what's it. Maybe was it the 52nd strip or something like that? Maybe.
No, you're right. It's the 52nd. Yeah, that he uses it again.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, October 14th, a whole year later.
Right on.
So yeah, did you guys know that this is a male character? Because I always thought this was a female, but it's this like Candyland person that has been helping him since like the very beginning. So it was a male, but
What?
yeah, because if you go back and read it, he's referred to as he often.
But the dress like bathing costume.
Well, so what
he has
what
on.
were you saying? You dressed boys up in dresses until they
Well,
were like
that's
7 or 8?
yeah, till you're like 5, but this looks like an 8-year-old child.
Yeah, I love how like there's several variations, several different patterns of this character that has been around forever, but now we get like 8 of them, and they all have different patterns,
Yeah.
just endlessly pushing himself.
And little gags. Bad children. The good need have no fear. And the use of perspective that he seems to be very interested in at this point.
Oh, he's very technically minded. My favorite stuff is when he's drawing architecture, when he's drawing like New York or other dead cities.
Yeah, but
Which
like even these wide panels with all of the 10-ton weights and cannons and stuff, he's really leaning into and clearly seems to be very interested in 2-point perspective here.
Yeah.
You know, it's really interesting on the second page, that last shot of the elephant, the angle he chooses for the trunk. It's
So-
really interesting he chose
Yeah.
that shot.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's like maybe he's seen an elephant before, going to like a P.T. Barnum show, and that maybe that visual really stuck out to him, or maybe he was based on photography.
Well, it's a
But
perfect sense of depth. If you take from the trunk, from the actual nostrils, and you work back, he uses a lot of lines in the foreground there on that front nostril, and then as he works back, he starts to taper off
Yeah.
the lines, right?
Yeah, that's a good point. The detail starts to taper out. This entire sequence is amazing because like
Yeah.
this seems big to them, and then it just gets bigger and bigger, and you realize how small they actually are.
It's just spectacular.
Just to achieve skill like this is not easy, and you don't see a lot of this stuff in comics, I find.
No. No, and he's really using the panels to, because it's the same width of panel, and as it comes towards him, because previously we've seen he increases panel size in order to capture the size of something, and this is a great example of using the confinement of the space to really hammer home. This is a enormous elephant.
No.
He cannot be contained within, or he can't be viewed wholly
Yeah,
as
it doesn't
he gets
fit.
as he gets closer.
Yeah, just amazing. And is it me, or does it look like he's like was on vacation or something, and he had to like make it a little more sparse?
I'll say that this page is actually the first time he does not adhere to just the first top wide
Yeah.
panel.
Oh, good point.
This is the first time he doesn't do that. This time it takes the whole half of the page.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's just sort of like he's got to go on vacation, so he just did 2 in one day. Because a lot of these cases, he's drawing all this stuff in a day.
Maybe the newspaper had a special double Sunday funny section or something like that.
Well, no,
one
because
of
this is
the two.
October 7th, and that's September 30th.
Oh, is that so?
they're- Yeah.
See,
So they
mine's
were a
not
week apart.
updated, but okay.
But yeah, you can't operate on a 100%.
I mean, it's impressive that he did 52 strips a year for like what 10 years, 11 years.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. You can take a
But there has to be some kind of
half day.
significance lent to this page, breaking away from the usual. You know,
I think it's. I wouldn't attribute any artistic quality to it. It looks like he just like needed more time. Like,
You don't think so?
okay.
well, what? Okay, well, give me your theory.
Okay,
What-
okay. Well, tell me.
I'm
Go ahead.
Going to go with
Well-
Go ahead, Taylor,
Well-
as you were saying.
if he is trying to hide that he's, taken a half day, then at least he's really bringing it with the sense of motion and speed when it comes to it. So I can understand him. Maybe it's not why he did it, but I could definitely see him turning it in and editor going, "Don't you usually put the big panel up at the top?" And him going, "Yeah, but." Then I wouldn't be able to get this running elephant in there. So I really got to use the space.
I mean, yeah, that is a good point. The elephant.
deserves more space.
It's got a proper gallop to it too. In those 4 panels, is a good sense of motion. Although he does
Yeah.
turn the camera the other way for the second row.
Which is strange, right? It has a
Yeah.
weird feel. You'd think it would be
Okay,
going towards
Something
it.
bothers me about this whole page, not in terms of technique or anything, just like why does it look like this after such a certain amount of time? You know, you
Yeah.
Well,
deviate
I
from
mean,
deliberately.
he returns to normal. He sort of. I mean, I guess he doesn't have the long strip, but we're getting back to his famous detail by this point, and like, yeah, it continues on.
Yeah.
Back-
But it looks like
I
he
mean,
does drop
to normal
the
here.
opening panel.
Yeah, he does for a bit, but then he returns
Oh, yeah, he does.
to it a little bit later. But
Yeah.
here we're October. We're 52 strips in, and finally he meets King Morpheus. So it was October 1905 that he started, and finally he's reached there.
October 15th, 80 years before my own birth, which is why I remembered it.
Yeah, so that was the first year, but well, let's just quickly end it. I just want to show a couple of standout ones, like the um, this episode is super long, but yeah, like this is the most famous one here. Oh, so this is the most famous strip.
What's the
No,
date
no,
on
sorry,
that?
sorry, no, this isn't the most famous strip. What am I thinking? But again, like as I said earlier, like this. So this is 1907 September, but this isn't the most famous. But this is like him doing architectural stuff, which I absolutely love. And then let's go to page 30. I want to show off January 26th, 1908, because we have this really fun mirror effect, like being in a funhouse mirror. And like this is a really fun effect here.
Whoa.
Being stretched.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean there's honestly too much to go through. Like here we have March 29th, 1908. And here he goes to like a shanty town, and this has kind of an anti-capitalist bent as he turns this shanty town into a paradise. And
Check out. Have you checked out February 16th, 1908?
February 16th.
It's like he's using. It's Escher-esque.
Oh yeah, wow. Just like
All for a
you
Sunday.
master perspective, and then you
Yeah.
say, how do I challenge myself even more? Like this is. And I always loved the slipping pratfall. But what else? This is the famous one. This is like the most famous.
Yeah, that's on the that's the cover of my book.
What's
And I
the
think
date on
yours
that?
as well.
July 26th, 1908.
That's the cover of your book too, right, Taylor?
Yeah.
At least the 3 panels of
Yeah, the last 3 panels there.
Yeah.
It served as an inspiration for the piece of art I did for this one.
Oh, we gotta get to that. Let's show a little bit more and then call it a day. What else?
And while you find it, I want to say that in this
I want to. Sorry.
The whole publication of this strip, these strips are only collected in one printing until modern times. But like stuff like the Katzenjammer Kids and Happy Hooligan, they were like published every month, multiple printings of all the collections of the strips. This one was only collected once the whole time.
Really?
Oh, wow.
Is that a rights
It
thing?
was not very popular. No. Again, it was just mature fantasy, right? It was only the grown-ups liked it, and the kids, they like the slapstick stuff, I guess.
And yet it goes on for so long.
Yeah.
I guess it was popular enough, just not.
Yeah,
the
I
most
mean,
popular.
that's true. Yeah, popularity is. We forget in the past. There's so little competing for people's attention that popularity is measured in the millions sometimes.
I want to comment on this. This is January
I'm glad
2nd,
you came to that one.
1910.
Yeah.
This is such a playful effect of just like the King Morpheus is in pain and he's just so loud that it's like overwhelming everything. And it's just like playing with the medium in ways that he's inventing this stuff.
Yeah.
But he himself stays as stoic as ever, right? He's got one expression, but he's surrounded by verbal expressions of pain.
Yeah. There's this fun bit where he goes to Mars, and it has some very anti-capitalist messages. I mean, he's an artist. He's a multi-millionaire by this point. But like, yeah, there's just like this stuff where they need to pay for air, and there's a message here where the guy who runs Mars, he wants to see you, but first you must buy some words so that you can talk to him. So you have to buy words, and there's like rich folks can talk, the poor must keep still. and yeah, just
I'm seeing as time goes on, he also changes the final waking panel.
yeah. I guess he gets closer. It's
Yeah.
more of a close up.
I wonder why
And he
he
goes
would
to
do
Montreal. These are
that. The
these are the
exotic
airship.
town of Montreal, Quebec.
Yeah, these are the airship years where he's traveling all throughout North America, and he gets
I
to see
love
all
that.
the big touristy stuff, and he gets to see these city shots, which I love. But
That's awesome.
and what I was talking about earlier is like this is what the interior of the color pages look like. The one color process.
Okay.
It's called the two color process, but
Yeah.
so it's kind of a not entirely known what was going on here, but this is towards the end of his New York Herald years. He signed a contract to go work for Hearst, and it's not known, but there's some theories. Either maybe he was towards the end of his years at the Herald, and maybe he wasn't as enthusiastic, so he wanted to put less effort, or maybe they got someone else to finish it, or maybe they were just throwing him in the middle to punish him for leaving. Who knows?
What's the time frame on this?
This is April 30th, 1911. Right,
19.
the end of the New York Herald years, like because, and it's also these seem lower quality. There's also a theory that maybe these are inventory strips. Like
Oh.
maybe these were sitting in a drawer somewhere because there was like an airship story that went on for like 14 months or something, and then it goes more to these generic stories.
Well, what's weird though is that like with CMYK printing, you would need two colors. You'd need the cyan and yellow to get the green. It's not like they're putting green down, right? So I wonder if these are reprints that are missing color plate or something.
Well, the whole point was that like in the there's the front and back page were all full color, and then the interior pages were cheaper, so it was just like one color process. So it
Huh.
looks like these were printed on the interior pages
Huh.
for the
Okay.
final New York Herald years, because from 1911 to 1914 he goes over to William Randolph Hearst's paper, and
Yeah, and then the
you
color
get-
comes back.
yeah. Although the printing was not as good at Hearst paper, as you can see here. But yeah, so that was I highly recommend people pick up this book. Taylor's
Absolutely.
version is still in print and available, but it won't be for long. So you guys got to jump on these Taschen books. Like these Taschen books go out of print and then they're gone. So yeah, I would jump on that.
Yeah.
But I guess this was a two-parter that we didn't realize it. But Taylor, you did some art.
I
let's see.
did. Yes, inspired by Little Nemo, and I've created this Nemo in his bed as it runs with some giraffes. Just a fun, dreamlike thing. I avoided using any ink on this one. It is all watercolor.
Oh,
I'm not
You use
sure
the same
it's.
palette as the cover to your book, hey?
Yeah. Well, I was trying to stick as close to what he was doing as possible with the lack of skill that I have. But
That's a good one, bro.
yeah, it was a fun experiment to try, and I'm not sure it completely worked out, but I learned a lot about just direct watercolor without using any black ink to delineate things. So
cool.
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't done any art for this episode, and I guess neither has Colin.
I'm still in the process of moving. I'm still
I
shooting at
I
another location
yeah.
instead of my own
And
place.
I'll say that I finally finished issue 5 and
Yes.
of my Create Our Own book, and
What's
yeah,
it called?
It's the best thing I've ever done. It is called Assorted Crisis Events, which I guess in the new year we'll do an episode and we'll talk about it more.
Hell yeah.
It's,
So issue 5 was the last issue of the first arc, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that should come out in what, July, I believe.
July.
Just around the corner. Yeah.
Issue 5 will.
Issue
Yeah.
5 will.
Issue
yeah.
5 will. Excuse
Issue
me.
1 will come out in March. So, but yeah, I'll send you the comics for you guys to read, and you guys can tell me what you think, and then we'll talk about it in the new year.
And
Right on.
audience, remember, ask your local comic book shop to pre-order the book.
Yes.
Yeah. Is there a diamond code for number 1?
Yeah, I'll put it in the description.
Speak it out loud for people listening. If you have it.
It is across the screen right now.
Right on. There you go. All right, cool.
Okay, let's
Want me to close this out? Yeah,
Yeah.
sure. All right, well, thanks for watching, everyone. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, and we'll see you next episode. Have a good night.